Yeah, video is one of those things that I didn't realize until recently I've been doing for a long time. You know, I created a picture slideshow for my mum's birthday years ago, and that ended up essentially being a video that we played on a projector in a restaurant. Um, and it's a form of storytelling, and what I established through mentors and coaches and sessions is I'm a visual person, so that's why I like video, because that's how I engage personally myself. So it started a long time ago. And over time, I would always, we'd have camcorders or phones. Before phones really recorded, it was camcorders, or we'd go on holiday, we'd bring all the footage back, and I'd find a piece of software with an awful watermark across it because I didn't really want to buy it, to create these little highlights of that video, because I realized that we didn't really want to watch the whole thing back. We just wanted the key moments. So I did that in my personal life a lot historically. And then when I started working for these smaller companies, it was things like they wanted to do a product show reel on a screen at an event. And instead of just having slides, that I had the tools by then. PowerPoint started to introduce the ability to export to video. So I was able to add some motion to that storytelling and essentially bring it to life. So the tools and the software helped me also continue that. And then as I grew even further, video became, to your point, something that everyone wanted to do, but it was too expensive, never budgeted for it right, didn't understand the process of how do you get from A to B, and why is it so expensive? Like, why does it have to be so expensive? So there was definitely a period of time, probably about 5-6 years ago, where that was the constant conversation, is we want to do a video, but the platforms as well, we weren't engaging as digitally then as we were now, pre-LinkedIn and all that. We weren't really showcasing video online. It was still at events. So the need for it was at events or at the beginning of a presentation. It wasn't as far reaching as it is now. So those videos, then you would earmark a piece that you would be able to use for a year, maybe, that is an identity piece. It doesn't really say anything granular. It says enough at a high level. And then you'd get an agency to help you out, or you'd get a production company to help you out. And at that point as well, it was predominantly graphics. There is a whole consumer side that did film, but I'm talking from a B2B perspective. You were using stock footage, or you were using images with moving graphic text. You weren't doing the sort of advert style or people style filming that we're now really accustomed to. So then there was a transition, I think, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, where more people were doing video. They're providing videos, the platforms required it, business models changed to allow for quicker video. It gave you more options, so stock libraries got better. People were able to film on their phones, so you're capturing better. GoPros and all of those types of devices really helped as well. So your ability to get footage became cleaner and quicker, and the cost came down because of competition. And also things like Premiere Pro and Final Cut, for everybody that's using them, became quite easy to use. So some people were doing it by themselves. So I think there was a massive transition when video became a focus. And that's kind of where I've just kept pushing. And I was lucky enough 3 years ago to be given a project which went around the world and filmed stories of how mobile was transforming people's lives. And we did that with production companies, we did that independently, in all of the different ways you could do it. And that storytelling is what I've done. So I think in the last 6 years, I've created something like 300 films alone for the GSMA. So the volume there is now high, so you understand the process. But I think to your question around people's fear of video and it being expensive, I think that has radically changed now. So if you're still in that headspace where video is expensive, I think there's a conversation to be had around what are you trying to do. If you want to do a TVC produced new film where you have to film something and engage with an agency, yes, you will spend thousands of pounds to do that. But then I would argue you're going to get the value out of that. You're going to get all that footage. You're going to get a story that builds leads and helps you with your sales and raises your brand awareness. And you can put it in more places. You can put it on your website. You can put it on social. You can use it at events. It will extract more value. But actually, if you've got a new product that you want to promote, you can do that quite cheaply. And I say cheaply in a monetary value, but you can do it quite quickly at a low cost and then still have great impact, because the stock libraries now are fantastic. The licensing is a lot easier, and editors and companies are trying to do this kind of work, and they're speeding up how long it takes to do. So I think we've definitely turned a corner. One of the things why I'm still in video is because it is still such a key medium for people to use. And it's, you know, the engagement numbers that we're seeing on social platforms still performs on video. 80% still react better to videos. Retargeting opportunities on things like LinkedIn are better, because if someone's seen your video once, you can retarget them with a PDF of a report, for example. Your ability to engage is harder. And also it's richer content. So we just know that people are going to see it better. The challenge is doing it well, because everyone's doing it. And because some people are doing it on the fly or they're doing it easy, the challenge is how do you do it well? And that's one of the things that I think experience, time, seeing what other people are doing, using the data, the benchmarks is what helps to figure out how you do that well. And that's kind of the space I'm now specializing in, is to try and be that person that understands and can advise the businesses that I support to use video effectively.
Awesome. That's I think it's really interesting when you said you talked about this transition between 5-6 years ago, where film was less accessible, to now where you have so many more tools, you have so many more have libraries of stock videos. Licensing is easier. I mean, editing tools are getting more accessible, but still I think it's a difficult medium to master. It's a very difficult one, because I don't know, what advice would you give to someone who's starting in the video marketing space? What would you tell them, in how to approach all this? Like, what should they learn? What should they focus on? Like, what should they tell to someone starting in this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd always start with a brief. It sounds really boring, and it's the thing that everyone hates to do, because it sounds like I want to get into the fun bit, but actually a really thought out brief around what you're trying to do, who you're trying to influence, what you want them to do as a result of seeing this video, where you're going to put it, because if you're going to just put it on Instagram or LinkedIn, then it should be in a square 1x1 format rather than a 16:9 format. So these, some of the tactics come out in this brief. When do you need it by? How much you're willing to pay? So a brief document is really important, and something that we go into every project doing. And that gives you some context. What that you want a video to do it? Could it be done in a different matter? So that helps align everybody, but also helps you articulate your thoughts. And then it's really, we're so lucky that there's so much stuff out there. So almost in every project that we've done recently, we've shown examples of stuff that we like, treatments that we like, other people, brands, competitors who do it well. We're exposed to so much now that if you don't know how to create something, go and find all the different bits that exist externally from your competitors, from LinkedIn, from the biggest brands. Go and have a look at, a sales video from Coca-Cola and see, oh, they did that really well. And then hold on to that and then give that to somebody to say, help me tell our story in this way, because that tone and that identity really helps someone bring it to life for you in that way. So I think use the information that we have around us that we can see in YouTube. YouTube's a perfect place for that. Company websites, LinkedIn, but then also just the benefits we have. There are tools. Most Macs have built-in videographer equipment. The Adobe suite is easy to use. It's expensive for a single user, retrospectively to doing it in other ways. But invest in a bit of software, and actually you can get pretty far if you want to do it yourself. Most phones now film in 4K, which means you can project it on any big screen. So you can actually film some stuff if you want to do a talking head piece for yourself. And the tutorials are unbelievable. The other day I was trying to figure out how to hide an image behind a line, and I literally typed in Adobe Premiere Pro, how to hide an image behind a line, and there was a 20-minute video on that one thing. The tools are there, they're accessible. But something you said earlier made me think that actually for a lot of businesses, generationally, things have changed as well. So all the new people that are coming into businesses, you know, the new marketers, they all care about video anyway. They're all digitally savvy. So, you know, they'll be filming stuff themselves all the time. They'll be creating stuff themselves all the time. There was a stat a few years ago on a TED talk that 1% of the world created 100% of the content online. That's definitely not the case anymore, because everyone's creating content, whether they know it or not. And therefore everyone's so used to creating that. So I think, you know, new businesses who are building teams, who are investing in marketing people, just remember they're probably doing it already. And if you give them a bit of training, you know, Adobe basic classes are really good. They get you from 0 to 100 quite well to do basic webinar edits. I'm doing a lot of webinar edits at the moment because everyone's chatting online. And in the same way with you, you know, you'll record something and you'll slice and dice it and you've got a great piece that you can share. So even that talent is already kind of got the basic skills to support on that. So I think there's enough tools around in the world to get someone more confident with video. And then there are, you know, I would suggest if you're going to go to an agency or go to get a partner agency to help you, you know, you want to look for someone that's small, that adds value, that cares about you. I think there are some massive brands that would just eat small businesses because they're not big enough and they don't give them enough value. So finding the right partner agency, I think, is really important, where when you speak to them, you feel like they're listening and they care about your brand and what you're trying to achieve. So, you know, I do think that having that expertise externally can make the difference sometimes.